I'm building an entire floating mountain city. I'm using this to make this. I found this table leg on the street and I wanted to see if I could make it into a cool miniature creation. I spent almost 100 hours trying to make this into a floating mountain city. I even had to go to a hardware store to find a big enough piece of foam to be able to make this. Let's do it. Okay, so first things first, we need to figure out what to do with the base. I have this. I'm being too lazy and I don't want to draw out the entire design. I'm just gonna draw on the basic structure. We have our general sketch for what we want. We now need to begin on actually building this up. First thing we're gonna do is add the roads. Good morning. So my fiance is a business owner of a power washing business, and part of that is to resand driveways, which means we have sand. Not sand that's meant for us. We're gonna go and borrow some of that sand. Jar. Okay, here we go. Sand. We now have a little bit of sand that we have acquired, and we have some bigger gravelly options. We have some PVA glue. We have the things that we want. If we just sprinkle a little bit in here, this is what we call playing yourself. We've now put down the roads. They are looking sandy, so we just need to let those dry. Finally got the foam in. It wasn't quite what I was expecting. I was expecting something more like insulation foam. At least we have something for the meantime. Hello. All of these little guys have dried. I made a huge mistake. I should have known that this was gonna happen. It's my fault. I chose to put PVA glue around them and then put them down because there's a lot of excess glue, and so it sticks itself. And I still need to be able to pick these up. I need to paint them, I need to put the roofs on, I need to put the windows in. Bits of styrofoam have stuck themselves to here. Lesson learned. Good morning. So all of the little houses have dried. We have houses that are covered in sand. So what I want to do now is just add these houses on top of this, and then we can slowly go through them all, and we want to paint them. First things first, we're going to prime it. The houses are looking quite compact. I don't know how I'm going to get the roofs on. Once I've painted everything, I'll make the roofs, and worst case scenario, we just have to take out maybe a couple of the buildings. have brought you here to this part of this area. Long story short, we went to a hardware store. You can get foam a third of the price. Let's just ignore this big splodge in the middle. Okay, so we now have our piece of insulation foam. We can now cut pieces of this off and we can decide which buildings we want to make a bit taller. So how we're gonna make these little pieces. We're gonna use this to create the texture. It's just a bunch of gravel. One thing I really like about this is it's not really staticky because I was getting it all over my fingers. Dip it in, roll it around. Roll, roll, roll. I've also cut out pieces of foam that are going to act as the structure to hold up the roofing. What we need to do now is we need to mix up the color that we're going to paint each of these houses. I have a feeling it's going to take a while. So now that we've painted all of our little houses the way that we want them to be colored, let's just get started with adding the windows. We're going to be using these two. So some UV resin. This can act as the clear windows and also a little bit as the glue for the window frames. And we've got our UV light. Let's add the window frames and the windows. We have added the windows and the window frames now, but I have been looking at them and it just feels like something's off. To get exactly what I'm looking for, which I'll put up here, what I'm going to do now is paint all the wood frames that we have so far to a darker wood color. Then we're going to add the pillars. This is a random table leg I found outside someone's house, and for some reason I decided to pick it up. What I want is this on top of this, and then we're going to build a cliff. Let's add the doorways, add the pillars, color everything the way that we want them, and then we'll finally be able to move on to the roofing. It's taken me 6 hours to just do these houses for the wooden pillars. I've got quite a lot left. I'm kind of getting in the groove now and I'm getting through it, but it'll be worth it and I'll be so happy with it afterwards. Good morning. We have a small amount of these houses left to put the pillars on and then paint them. Over the weekend, I went on a hike and found loads of dried up twigs, mostly thanks to John, who pointed them out and I didn't even think about it. We have a big bag of twigs now. Since it's nearing spring and it's been winter, there were just loads of these on sides of the path. We're going to use them for the roots and the trees. We just need to crack on with doing the pillars for these little houses. We have finally completed painting all of the little houses. All there's left to do is just to add the roofs onto them, and then we built that whole structure. I want to add some wooden pillars over the top of the roofs on top of here. I don't want to have to go through all of them and repaint them because I guess I'm being lazy. I have this little bottle and my plan is to put a bunch of these matchsticks into this bottle with some paint and water, and we're just going to shake them and then we're going to lay them out and let them to dry. Something that I didn't actually point out last time was that we have gotten rid of some of the little houses simply because when attaching some of them so that they look a bit more funky like this one, it meant that some of the houses no longer fitted properly. So we have a bunch of little houses, oh damn it, that are kind of spares. What we're doing now is using these dried up bits of matchstick. We're gonna cut these up to size and then we're gonna lay them over the top like this. And then we're going to add the roofing. Yesterday, I finally managed to finish all the roofs. The first thing I want to do is make the base terrain of the actual city now, and then stick them down, and then we're gonna add some more terrain that are kind of going around the houses. Then I want to add some extra details. In terms of how many houses we have, I'm not sure. I want to count them up. We have now finished putting the little intricate pieces to it. So the next thing to do is just to add island thing. We're gonna bulk it out, get the general shape that we want with cardboard. This needs to have the base glued onto it. Now that we have finally done that, let's put the cardboard structure around it, stick that all together, and then we can start doing the foam. down here because I thought that it would be easier to kind of reach all the bits that I wanted to. We have now created the surrounding structure. What we need to now do is we're going to cut it up into the shape that we want and stick it on. Some of the cardboard we can keep exposed because we can then paint over that. I'm going to use this box cutting knife. We'll stick it on with some hot glue. Without further ado, let's get cutting. Finished cleaning everything up. I had to change tops to something wicking because that was a lot of hard work. It took me 45 minutes to fully vacuum, clean everything. Next thing I want to do is cover up gaps that we have. We're going to do that by some kitchen roll, cut it up into little pieces, lay it over the top, put some PVA glue, dab it on, big brush, PVA glue, scoop it on there, bam. And I'm just going to use that over the bits where the rock kind of, there's like large gap. And then once we let all that dry, then we can actually paint over it. Just go around this whole thing, tear some bits of kitchen roll, PVA glue, dab it on. Officially PVA'd and kitchen rolled everything. I feel like I'm holding like a
candy floss.
Yeah, a candy floss, or like I'm a lollipop lady. Or if someone really annoys me, I just feel like I should knock them out. We just now need to let that dry, and we are moving to the bottom of the structure. On top of this, we're gonna make a little forest underneath. So I was planning on making the base, and I actually made a lot of it. After having made about 3/4 of it, I thought that it would kind of take away from the main bit with the city and the cliffs. I want to really make the focus to be up here. But what I did instead is paint the base bit around here to be black, and then we can say that this just doesn't exist. We're gonna prime this white, and then we're gonna paint it a layer that's kind of like sandstony color. We're gonna add some little branches so it looks like roots are coming out through the rock, and then we'll add some little bits of greenery, and then we'll be done. As you can see, I've already tried a little bit to see how it would start looking, and I'm liking the color, but we definitely need to add some other colors to it, which is why we're going to do ochre yellow. Also a black wash over all of it to make it look more like rock. Got some watered down burnt sienna, and we can start putting on the proper details and stuff like that. Finally finished painting all of the cliff surface. What we now need to do are add little bits of roots. I'm gonna break up pieces, add them around a little bit, and then hot glue gun them on. Gonna add bits of sand all around. Let's add some roots, let's add some greenery, let's add some sand and a waterfall. finished everything now. Added some green paint as well, just to really bring home the fact that there's some greenery and some water as well. All there's left to do is just have a final look.